Government of St. Maarten has yet to decide when the external borders will be reopened to visitors. Prime Minister says she is awaiting a reply in order to move forward. But first up, President of Parliament meets with workers of the Princess Juliana International Airport. Those are the headlines for Thursday, June the 18th, 2020. And this is SXM Daily News. I'm Valerie Van Putten. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. We have a packed newscast for you as usual, so let's get started. President of Parliament, Mr. Rolando Bryson, met with workers of the Princess Juliana International Airport on Wednesday, June the 17th, 2020, after several workers walked out of meetings with management. The meetings and discussions took place between the airport workers and management and representatives of government and Parliament. The President of Parliament addressed the employees who voiced their concern and told the President of Parliament that they were ready to strike if their concerns were not addressed by the airport's managing board.
Survival mode, there are things that might have to be changed, but it has to be done collectively. Okay? In first, like with the civil service, it was a battle once we realized, wait a minute, but let's just talk. What are you willing to accept? In the end, they said, okay, half vacation pay. If that's something you can, but in your cases or like Justice Ministry cases that already is owed money, that's a difficult situation to say, I'll cut more. You know, that's the problem. If we as a country have been paying our civil service and employees properly, then I can be in a position to say, hey, listen, we've been taking care of you for 20, 30 years. We need a cut now.
So question, how urgent government will get this information? This session, what are we doing here now?
Well, the information I have here now, I'm taking it straight to the government right away.
So like today.
Today the government going to know. How it's going to be handled, again, the way the airport management has been handling this for a while is that government, which I guess they're legally, technically correct, we ain't supposed to intervene directly with them. But this is a matter of the national security of the country right now, and there are things that the government can do when it has to do with the national security.
I want to let government know the next step is we walk in now. You push it on. The workers you walk in. That's the next step now.
Question.
Right?
No.
And the next step now.
The government need to launch an internal investigation on the airport finances. Because it's possible you're going to tell me you got money to pay me till the end of the year, and then also we don't have money. Okay. Where's that money going?
Budget. They never brought a budget. We don't have the yearly end budget. We don't have that either. So we need to know where it is.
You send a document to the union. You send a document to the employees saying you're going to give us some money once you get your insurance proceeds. So what happened? Without us, there's no airport.
This is a written agreement.
It was to come with
a written agreement.
It's a twice document that was signed twice, so it doesn't really make no sense. You keep asking me to hold on. I explained to Mr. Mingo the meeting we had in December. I said, yes, we are holding on. We've been holding on since 2017. I have a daughter. She has to go away. She had to go away last year actually for study. Because of finances, if we don't have the things in order, that was cancelled. This year again, you're telling me to hold on. Yes, Ms. Mingo, we've all been holding on. You never once asked any employee, how are you doing financially? Is your roof fixed from Irma? Nothing. Everyone comes in here and does the work 8 hours, go home. Sometimes you can do overtime to help the company, but in the meantime, you help yourself because you have goals to achieve. Again now, daughter's scheduled to go away this year, can't go. So mean, you hampering me, not giving me what is rightfully mine that I work for. You're also hampering my children. Within the next 2 years, my other daughter, she's done school. She too has to go away. So where am I supposed to get that finance to send both of them at the same time? It's not fair. It's not fair. And then you're telling me, oh, we can't pay you till further notice. That.
Yeah.
Where is the heart and all of that?
Mr. Chairman and then somebody else is going to teach us how to test. I personally is not tested because when I go in a medical center, not even a hospital, medical center, nobody gonna be next to me.
Yeah.
You understand? I have my 2 kids to worry about. I can't be worrying about testing and all them things with people. Cause we gotta look at us. I send a document and I ask them before this, our job description, are the workers gonna get tests? Is the airport is clean? Because right now it's filthy, it's not disinfected. And up to now, you sent us a letter yesterday, tell us June 22nd, you want all staff to come to work. and the building is not clean, and then tomorrow when I get sick, the first thing you'll make the manager send me to the company doctor and tell me, oh, I this, oh, I that. What kind of stupidness is that? That makes no sense.
Yeah.
All them questions still up to now ain't been answered.
If you get 13 days, they send you to the company doctor.
Yep.
But when you're laying down there in the hospital, mine, a couple years ago, I had two occasions in the hospital with my leg.
And SXM Daily News spoke today to the Secretary of Organization for the ABVO Union, Mr. Irvin Shen, who said that the negotiations are still ongoing.
It was a meeting between the CEO of the airport with employees of the airport, and there was some discontent amongst the employees with the management style of the CEO, and also seeing the fact that money is due to them since after Irma, and that now they want to use COVID as a means to come out of that obligation. So I cannot really divulge as yet the results of the meeting because no conclusive decision was taken. We're still awaiting additional documentation from the airport management. So the negotiations are still ongoing.
Okay.
And only thing that is on the table right now, or in the planning right now for Maarten, is the general meeting, the formal general meeting that we call for tomorrow morning with all of our members. So including the airport members, all of the members from all of the government, the public, semi-public and private sectors workers that we represent.
And Prime Minister the Honorable Sylvia Jacobs, in reacting to the strike by airport workers on Wednesday regarding their salary cuts, the Prime Minister said that the reality is that the airport was already not at 100% capacity, and despite that, they were maintaining all of their employees, but they were already planning to make cuts. The Prime Minister made the remarks at the Council of Ministers weekly press briefing on Wednesday morning.
Government-owned companies, workers, etc., may be feeling pertaining to the conditions and the cuts, etc., that have been proposed. But I would like to reiterate that several of these government-owned companies were already in financial problems prior to the conditions being set and had already made plans. As we know, we were presented way before conditions and discussion had with how Winair resolved their lack of liquidity and their due to lack of flights and lack of having anything that, that would bring in the type of money that would be able to sustain their workers. The reality is that the airport was already not on 100% capacity, that despite all of that, they were maintaining all of their employees. I cannot say what is the situation then, but based on our meetings held with the boards, with management, etc., they were already planning to make cuts. The 12.5% required by the conditions could be worked into it, but they had already proposed even more cuts based on the fact that they do not have liquidity. They in fact required assistance from the SSRP. So the Minister of Finance could go further into that as well, because I don't know the details of any individual company, including our own, because it is a lot to be dealing with at this time, and everyone has their own responsibility in it. But the most I can say is if workers are disgruntled, it is because they're talking about things that have been a long time, that they've been waiting for in a long time, and the management and board will have to answer to the employees as to that. The reality of the situation is, as with Winair, as with other government-owned companies that rely on income to be able to pay their employees, there is a lack of income at the moment. That is the reality.
And President of the Windward Islands Chamber of Labor Unions, Claire Elshot, reacting to the President of Parliament's statements on the airport workers, Mrs. Elshot said that the United Unions are saying they cannot breathe, remove the cost-cutting knee from their neck. The government is governing without a governing program. Mrs. Elshot was at the time speaking at their anti-poverty platform, the St. Maarten Consumers Coalition weekly press briefing earlier today.
United Unions are saying we cannot breathe. Remove the cost-cutting knee from our neck. We cannot breathe. Remove the cost-cutting knee from our neck. In a former program, we have questioned that this coalition is governing without a governing program. In the meeting, the United Unions in the Windward Island Chamber of Labor Unions, this was held on June the 9th, the Council of Ministers on the status of the workers of St. Maarten, Prime Minister said that this government coalition was addressing the issues brought forward by the unions in the governing program of this government coalition. But until today, not even a draft governing program has been provided to the Windward Island Chamber of Labor Unions to review and provide input. While the unions are championing for the full realization of all human rights on an equal footing in the Kingdom of the Netherlands, the coalition government is violating international conventions with workers' rights and human rights, where the coalition members of Parliament adopted a motion in Parliament which instructed the Council of Ministers to negotiate COVID-19 liquidity support for St. Maarten under the condition that all measures should be respecting international, state, and national legislation. This Council of Ministers not only accepted the liquidity support, but also all 18 conditions unconditionally and is implementing the cost-cutting measures imposed by the Kingdom government. While the President of Parliament last week, Friday, manifests a demand to stop racial discrimination and respect for human rights on a public manifestation to commemorate the racial police brutality, while he appeared yesterday at the walkout of the workers at PGIAE and promised to address their concerns, until today he has not answered nor organized any virtual dialogue or any virtual meeting with the Parliament on the request of the United Unions in the Windward Island Chamber of Labor Unions. While the governing coalition is implementing a discriminatory payroll support program to favor some employers under the pretext that they will pay the workers 100% salary, the President of Parliament is deaf or did not hear the workers complaining that they have not received their full salaries in March. We did not hear him about the racial discrimination imposed by the Kingdom Council of Ministers and implemented by the governing coalition, nor is he defending the rights and the human rights trampled by the Kingdom Council of Ministers and the Council of Ministers he supports.
And still to come, member of the Anti-Poverty Platform says he wants the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers to understand their human rights. We'll have the details to that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Maarten, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
And as we continue now with more news for you this evening, in answering reporters' questions about moving the island forward now that we have reached an impasse of sorts, the Prime Minister of St. Maarten said that with our current status, we have to accept the conditions because we have nowhere else to go. A letter was, however, sent to Prime Minister Rutte, and she is awaiting a reply in order to move forward. She also sent a letter to the Council of State to be able to request advice on moving forward.
A lot of meetings are held behind closed doors. A lot of meetings are held, and then you have to come out and carry out tasks. And I was even told at one time, if you don't agree with it, why did you accept it? And it's very clear why we had to, as St. Maarten, with our current status, accept. Because any funds that we would want to borrow at this point would have to go through the Netherlands. And Aruba felt that immediately because they subscribed first for a loan on the open market, and they attempted to get money on the open market, and that did not work. So they had to still come back to the Netherlands as our kingdom partners, and within our constitutional status, that's the first line that you go to. They have the first right of refusal. Minister of Finance can probably explain you financially better than me what that means. But whichever option we had, it would have been a pass through the Kingdom Council of Ministers. As such, how do we proceed from here? As I mentioned, I sent a letter to my colleague, Prime Minister Rutte. I expect to be receiving an answer. I have also, prior to that, sent a letter to the Raad van State, to the Council of State, to be able to request advice in moving forward. Because we do not have a dispute regulation that would work in our favor, that would give us let's say, a fair one that we have any say in. You understand? Our only situation that we have right now is that we go par for the course, we continue to do what we're doing, and any change in constitution comes from the people of St. Maarten. So therefore, it is my prerogative, it is my duty to continue to inform the people of St. Maarten with information when the time comes to make a decision as to whether we are continuing forward or pulling back or doing something else. Then that is based on information given, not on half-truths. That's what we've been noticing being published out of certain media houses. And I want to say something else. I believe people on St. Maarten, not knowing the repercussions and consequences of their actions and statements on social media, are actually giving the Dutch government ammunition that is based on opinion and not fact. Many people now have an opportunity, yes, freedom of speech, but you must think sometimes, what are the consequences of what you say? I can speak for this Council of Ministers, that we are upright, that we are working diligently to go through a very difficult period that is going on all over the world, all over the world. And when we have discussions with our colleagues, I think it should be based on mutual respect. That is all I ask.
Meanwhile, Minister of Finance, the Honorable Ardwell Edion, also responded to the reporter's question. The minister said that he believed and has seen that we are not seen as equal partners within this kingdom.
In reference to his question in terms of partners within the kingdom, I would also like to reference the introduction of the Prime Minister to our meeting from yesterday, where I believe and I see that we are not seen as equal partners within this kingdom. I also believe that when it comes to respect, that the respect given to us, especially our Prime Minister, was definitely not there yesterday, as we had the State Secretary Knops, and this is my opinion, that spoke to our Prime Minister in a condescending, misogynistic, in such a way that there's no respect for our Prime Minister at all. The Prime Minister has asked for her counterparts to be in meetings. We don't get that either. We've asked for elucidations to agenda points. We don't get it either. But the condescending manner, the tone, the finger pointing, the finger wagging, manner in which the State Secretary spoke to our Prime Minister was highly, in my opinion, disrespectful. And in my opinion, I would have loved if the meeting was recorded so the meeting could have been evaluated by our kingdom partners. And maybe that should be something going forward, actually, that virtual meetings are recorded so we could have it properly evaluated for in the future.
Member of the Anti-Poverty Platform, Dr. Anders Raymond Jesseroen, referenced the Prime Minister's protest letter to the Kingdom government. Mr. Jesseroen says that while the Prime Minister felt disrespected, and even though they can sympathize and understand that they don't feel well with their behavior, they want the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers to understand their human rights.
Prime Minister's protest letter to the Kingdom government. In yesterday's press briefing of the Council of Ministers, and in a press release released on Wednesday, yesterday, the Cabinet of the Prime Minister, the Prime Minister said that State Secretary Knops behaved in an unbecoming manner in a meeting they had on the 16th with the State Secretary on the conditions for further liquidity support. She stated, and I quote, "As Kingdom partners, we should treat each other with mutual respect, and that certainly did not happen during the meeting." According to Prime Minister Jacobs, the information submitted on the agenda items was immediately disregarded by State Secretary Knops. Prime Minister Jacobs stated, we quote, "It was simply rejected as irrelevant to the discussion of falsehoods in general. While we have communicated our positions and findings openly, honestly, and in a transparent way." The tone of State Secretary Knops was described to be quite unpleasant during the meeting, and State Secretary Knops even ended the virtual meeting prematurely and rather abruptly. Prime Minister Jacobs further stated, and we quote, "From the beginning, the convening notices for the meetings have not been decent. We received the agenda items too late and without underlying documents or further explanation, even after repeated requests." Now, Prime Minister Jacobs has sent a letter concerning these challenges to Prime Minister Mark Rutte, and she hopes that Prime Minister Rutte will investigate the matter. We quote, "I remain ready to continue the conversations with an equal mediator who is open to discussion in a decent manner and who shows respect in the event of disagreements." So, the letter from Prime Minister Jacobs to Minister Rutte concluded. Even though we can sympathize with the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance, who were treated this way in the meeting, even though we can understand that they don't feel well with this behavior of the State Secretary, and they denounce it as being disrespectful, rather than lamenting this attitude and the manners of State Secretary Knops, we want the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers to write to the Kingdom Council of Ministers to respect our human rights.
Now, turning to our weather forecast for June the 18th, 2020. The Atlantic high pressure system will generate mostly gentle winds across the region. pockets of moisture embedded in the wind flow may cause a few showers. Seas will remain slight to moderate during the next few days. So the outlook through Saturday midday, fair to partly cloudy with brief isolated showers possible. Now, let's turn to your 3-day forecast. And still to come, the government of St. Maarten has yet to decide when the external borders will be reopened to visitors. And I'll have the details to that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
Make use of WIB mobile banking with easy access and direct usage of face recognition, PIN code, or fingerprint. Download WIB mobile banking app and make your transaction from anywhere at any time. For more information, visit wib-bank.net/quick-login.
The government of St. Maarten has yet to decide when the country's external borders will be reopened to visitors and on the protocols that will be put in place for doing so, said Minister of Tourism, Economic Affairs, Transport and Telecommunications, TEAT, Ludmila de Wever, during the live virtual Council of Ministers press briefing on Wednesday morning. The minister also announced that returning residents from some Caribbean islands do not have to enter quarantine upon arrival.
In regards to reopening the island for visitors and nationals, we have been collaborating with the Ministry of VSA and the Ministry of Justice and working diligently behind the scenes to develop the best policy for reopening St. Maarten to visitors and keeping everyone healthy and safe. The Tourism Bureau is working with stakeholders on a tourism recovery plan, which will be taken into consideration with our path to economic recovery that's being done from our cabinet as well as Economic Affairs Department. We want to ensure that visitors know that we are as safe an island as possible, and we will demonstrate that through by ways that we can keep our COVID-19 free status. One of the things I'm sure that you will get an update on after is from the Minister of VSA's guidelines and requirements on how we are going to receive guests through our airport. To date, nationals and visitors, to date, St. Maarten residents are allowed to come from Saba, St. Eustatius, Bonaire, Curaçao, Aruba, Anguilla, St. Bart's, Martinique, and Guadeloupe without having, if they have remained in that country for 21 days, and when they return to the island, they do not require quarantine.
And as we end this edition of SXM Daily News for this evening, in this item out of the island of Aruba, Aruba is currently in the process of reopening the island for visitors on July the 1st, 2020. The announcement was made on Aruba TV online. It is said that the Queen Beatrix Airport looks forward to greeting visitors. They are extremely happy that they can welcome everyone back to the One Happy Island, as was stated by the Minister of Tourism on Aruba, Mr. Oduber.
The last few months has been extremely difficult for all of us in the world. Also in Aruba, it's been difficult times, but we are extremely happy that we can welcome again our visitors from all over the world. We can assure you that we have taken every measure that we can take to rest assured that you'll be safe when traveling to Aruba. We are open for our visitors and bombini to our One Happy Island.
And before ending this edition of SXM Daily News for this evening, due to unforeseen circumstances, SXM News will not be aired tomorrow, Friday, June the 19th, 2020. We will, however, be back on Monday, June the 22nd, and I look forward to seeing you then. I'm Valerie Van Putten, thanking you so much for joining me this evening. And just a reminder that this and other programs are available online. Simply log on to stmartinmediacenter.com for viewing. And on behalf of the SXM Daily News team, we thank you for watching and plan on meeting you right back here again on Monday.